It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington Show.
Welcome one and all, it's time for another exciting edition of the Andy and Rem Show, episode 189, and it's going to be Festive Spice Bonanza. And as usual, I'm joined by Mr. Remington. Colin suggests that the blinds are going to be down tonight. Let's find out if that is correct. And it is correct. The blinds are in fact down, so well done. You can see that Mr. Remington is armed with an instrument in his hand, and he's going to play us a bit of a tune with a bit of a festive twang to it, just to get us in the festive spirit, as if we weren't already, with Christmas only days ago. Everyone still riding the high of Christmas cheer and festive good vibes. So, Mr. Remington, when your camera corrects itself,
Yes,
would you like to provide us with some festive entertainment at this special magical time of year?
Can you see me now? You see me now?
Yes, we can see you.
See me. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Yeah, right. So what do you hear? Is go. Can you hear that?
Yes, we can. Is that the end?
Yes.
Very well. Well, that was a spectacular display of very audible music for a change. Every note somehow came through Discord perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm glad.
That's nice.
I'm glad. I've never done something like that before, so I've been learning how to play lead guitar. So,
How would you rate your Christmas out of 10 this year?
something around a 2. I bought, in terms of presents, it was 10 out of 10. That's the best presents, man. How about you, Andy?
Well, for me, I'm going to have to say a 10. A fun-filled, action-packed Christmas, top-notch presents, people, atmos all round, I would say.
Amazing. And one of the most important, life-changing presents, Andy, is it fair to say, was the one that I gave you?
Yes, it is fair to say that obviously my most exciting present was a pile of cryptocurrency.
That's right. I had sent Andy some cryptocurrency. How about that? And it was interesting because I was keeping track of Andy's cryptocurrencies in the days after I sent him, and I did believe he had a 20% gain from what I originally sent him, although things have just dived down.
Well, I'm going to have a look right now, actually, and see
Okay.
what my percentages are looking like.
Okay.
So I'm basically a crypto bro now.
Yes. And
So-
what cryptocurrencies do you hold, Andy, currently?
Well, let's see. I've got some Cosmos, which seems to be holding steady.
Cosmos, Atom, nice.
Yes,
Layer 1 solution.
some Chilies.
Chiliz is a fan token, which is going to play more of a bigger role in months and years to come, probably.
That seems to be holding steady as well. And then I did transfer a small amount, just to keep up with what you're doing, into Bitcoin to see how it's going, a tiny amount.
Nice. Just be careful when you do those, because you do get charged a little bit for those. But yeah, good to have a little bit of Bitcoin. Obviously, if Andy, if at some point you decide to put in more, we both get a Bitcoin bonus. So yeah,
that would be nice, obviously, but I think I'm quite satisfied with my tiny amount that I can just check out and say, oh, I've made an extra 15 pence today, and then the next day, oh, no, I've lost 30 pence. It's like a roller coaster ride.
I think you'll find it slightly more than that, but what we have seen here, Andy, is you dipping your toes in, and that's
you've dipped my toe in.
I dipped your toe in. You were struggling for years, and I held you. I said, put these armbands on, Andy, and I'm going to just hold you as well. Dip your toe into the water. See, it doesn't burn, does it? And
it doesn't burn. It's just lukewarm. It's kind of like the deep bath. Very relaxing, dipping your toe into the crypto
It's very
pool.
relaxing knowing you've got you've got a little investment there bubbling away, right? And you can live your life, and there it is. So let's see. It could all go to pot. Either way, you don't lose because I gave it to you, basically.
Yes. Now, what about your top-notch present?
My top-notch present was.
Have you got that to hand?
Yeah. I'm going to show you it because I've been toying with buying this myself, but Andy read my mind and bought me the Strontium Dog, the Good, the Bad, and the Mutie starter set, which is like a kind of a curious dream come true for me because I was a big fan of 2000 AD and indeed Strontium Dog, as well as Slain and Rogue Trooper. So this was my childhood in the 80s. So yeah, I'm hoping to get started with this. They're metal models, so I've got to paint them up. But that's not it, because Andy took me to Annie's lair, and I got more Christmas toys then, but we'll show you those next week, right?
Yes, we can certainly look at those when we've got Annie on the show next week, along with the equally legendary Joey Berry in the double guest New Year Bonanza next week that we've got lined up. And I think Remington can just about hear me again now.
What's that?
I was talking about the double guest Bonanza we've got next week for the new year. Very exciting times.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Can't wait for that. I'm sure Annie will tell me off for something or other.
Probably.
But yeah. She always seems to tell me off for something, but
so
we love her.
Peter says that you pushed me into a puddle. So he's comparing the world of cryptocurrency to a small puddle.
You pushed Andy into a puddle, yes, and he's got his feet muddy now. So hopefully that mud won't wipe off, because I think once you've had a taste for it and you can stomach the volatility, you can, you can make a bit, Andy. And I'd like to see you do well. So there you go.
Well, we were pondering what the next starter box was going to be, the next battle box for Age of Sigmar. We're talking about which factions could come in, what percentage of the models were going to be new, and right on cue, Fury of the Deep has been revealed. And I believe Fyreslayers and the Edeneth Deepkin were two of the factions that we did throw around as possible entrants into the next box.
We did. And Andy, before we reveal the content, I don't think there's ever been any kind of battle box or army box that GW brought out that contained all new miniatures. I'm trying to look back in history and think. I don't think I can think of any. From Warhammer Fantasy box sets which came out, they're all figures that already come out.
Are you talking about purely mid-edition battle boxes?
Yes. So do you think this is because they've over supplied and they want to just sort of release bits and bobs? What do you think?
I think there's probably just a lot of stuff that isn't selling that great, and why not reinvigorate that range with a battle box and throw in a new model each as well, rather than just releasing an individual hero? You can snag yourself some new players for that faction at the same time.
I think it's a good idea. And on that note, when I saw this, I thought I want Deepkin. I think they look really cool. And I like the Fyreslayers too, so this could be something I'm interested in for sure.
So I'm quite a fan of the Fyreslayers, but let's have a look at the new model. So the Achillean Thrall Master is the new Edeneth model, and standing next to a bit of Ely goodness going on there. Pretty cool.
So the clue's in the name. He's a Thrall Master, so perhaps he gives buffs to just your battle line troops, right?
Perhaps. And let's see what else there is. So there's the Auric Flamekeeper, a Fyreslayer warrior priest who presides over a lodge's funerary rites. So, from what I understand, this particular Fyreslayer walks around the battlefield, plucks the Your Gold runes from the fallen Fyreslayers, and then recycles them, basically. Harnesses their power so they can be reused.
That's all very well, but he doesn't actually have a container to put them in. So if you look closely, he doesn't have a bag. So that could be quite problematic because you could probably only hold one at a time.
Well, maybe someone delivers the runes to him. Or maybe he just puts them on his cloak.
Yeah, maybe. But I think in the olden days, Andy, of Warhammer, he would have had loads of purses and daggers and bags and saddlebags and all sorts, wouldn't he? So I do prefer them with less stuff on, to be fair.
Yes. Now, this is pretty cool concept, and it's an interesting looking model as well. You don't see a lot of Fyreslayers with no visible face flesh. He's got a lot more covering than many of the others. Still visible arms, armpits, bit of rib action there, bit of leg and foot, of course.
I do like that helmet. Now people, I'm not saying they complain, but I have heard things about Fyreslayers that they look a bit samey. What do you think, Andy?
I can see where they're coming from. Each unit doesn't stand out drastically from another unit, but you could say the same about Stormcast or Space Marines.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it just the way you paint them? You know?
I would say so. They look cohesive. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, do they think they have to have red hair?
Definitely not. Would be my opinion there. And you'll notice that some of this stuff appears to be from the previous rumour engines. Looks like the top of this axe was on there.
Interesting, yeah. Well spotted.
Yes.
So you've got I don't know. I can sense, Andy, that you're drawn towards Fyreslayers, maybe a little bit.
Well, potentially. If all the short bearded folk get put into the same book at some point, which is rumoured, that happens at some point over the next few months or year or two, then that could definitely draw me into getting a combined Dwarden force. But at the moment, no. But they are on my list still, Fyreslayers, of a potential future project. So, we've got a comment here from Gil, who says, I won't lie, AOS has absolutely died in my area. Local Discord gone, local Facebook gone. 40k. Oh, turned to 40k, I assume he means. I'm sad to see it. I think AOS sales have slowed. Love the new Fyreslayer, looks more dwarf than others. Yeah, the face piece definitely gives it more of an old school dwarf look compared to some of the other Fyreslayers, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, hey Gil, thanks for writing. If Gil is, you know, if that's true of his area and it's true in lots of more areas, what could be the reason? Do you think, Andy?
I don't know if that is
the lockdown. People, I mean, be able to play it.
I don't know if that's going to be true of all areas. Sure, it's just a region by region thing. I don't see any evidence anywhere else or any other anecdotal evidence even of AOS declining in particular. Tournament scene still seems to be drawing nice numbers.
Yeah, Gil, nice one, man. He loves the new Fyreslayers. I agree with him. I think they look awesome, man. And they do look more dwarfy than the others. Are you one of those, Gil, that do you think they should be wearing trousers? Because that's the other thing. Fyreslayers look a bit strange when you see the little legs. Maybe they'd look a bit more tougher if they had sort of they wore some trousers.
Maybe, but the little legs are the way of the future, obviously, because the Cruel Boys have got a similar approach, haven't they, to leg length. So, let's see a bit of text here. Armed with a brazier axe. A brazier axe. Solemn Flamekeepers are responsible for removing the Urgold runes of fallen warriors. They can harness the power of lifeless runes to bestow blessings upon their fellow Dwarden, all the while bellowing litanies from beneath their grim death mask. So what that sounds like is when a unit dies or models die near to this guy, if he can maybe forego doing anything else interesting that turn to harvest a rune and then use its power, so probably a hero phase ability to harvest the rune and then bestow one of several blessings onto nearby units. Sounds cool. And what else comes in the box? So, Flamekeeper is joined by 5 Auric Hearthguard, 5 Hearthguard Berserkers, 10 models in total. Can be built also as Volkite Berserkers. So 11 models. Against them, you'll get 10 Namati Thralls, 10 Namati Reavers, and a bloodthirsty Achillean Alapex. Sounds like you get more on that side. Maybe they're just not as good. But overall, interesting.
It's a decent box. I mean, why would these factions encounter each other in the first place, right? Because if you come from the water, sort of the last place you want to go is fire.
I think I've misread that, actually. So, as well as 10 Volkite Berserkers, it's just oddly worded, this oddly structured sentence here. So, 10 models in total who can be built either way, but you can't build them also as Volkite Berserkers. They are in addition to the 10 Volkite Berserkers, which is just oddly worded there.
Now, they have good saving throws, don't they, actually? Even though they don't have any armor. They're actually quite hard to kill, but they only have 1 wound, so...
that is often true.
Interesting.
We've got an interesting comment here. So Peter says, is the lack of trousers to prove they have knees? And Gil says, haha, they can't wear clothes because of all the fire. That could be a fair point. If you're setting fire to yourself every now and then, you don't want to be wearing materials that are just going to go up in flames, do you?
But they've got the cloaks, haven't they, with the scales on? They could make trousers made of those scales. Just saying. I just think they want to show off their legs, to be honest. But yeah, this out of all the battle boxes, I think this is the most exciting for me. I'm not saying I'll get it, but it does look kind of enticing.
So you'll get War Scrolls for all the units in there. You'll get tokens and 56-page version of the core book. Interesting, and I like that piece of artwork, actually. It's very nice. And it's available in early 2022, so it's not far off.
Wow. Well, Authentic Studio, how you doing, buddy? Says, would prefer factions of dwarves other than just Slayers. Yes, I agree with you. I did used to love Slayers, back in Wild Fantasy, even though they were pretty terrible. I loved the aesthetic, and now they've brought a whole faction of Slayers out. It's kind of like, now I've gone the other way. Do you want to see some normal dwarves, Andy?
I don't know if I want to see normal dwarves. I've got enough normal dwarves. There are enough normal dwarf ranges out there to satisfy any normal dwarf curiosity that anyone were to have. I don't know if GW really need to walk down that short-legged route again, really.
Well, that's a worrying answer, because it sounds like, if GW are on the same page as Andy, you can only bring out dwarves if they're a bit weird. But I heard there's going to be a Chaos Dwarf faction coming next. That's what I heard.
That would also excite me. Maybe even more than the Fyreslayers currently do, essentially. I'm always interested in the Dwarven factions, though.
Now, Andy, we always like to speculate on the price.
Yes.
What are you saying for these guys?
Well, let's have a look at the full battle scene. So there's your 2 armies. There's one. There's the other. They don't think they show just a full picture of all the contents yet. But we can speculate wildly based on the information we've been given, and I would say £80.
Oh, £80? No chance, Andy. Just show us a picture of all of the models there, if you wouldn't mind. If you got one. £80, Andy. I think you're shooting way too low in that.
You think I'm shooting too low?
Oh God, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that expensive. It's got a rule book that everyone already has. It's got some War Scrolls and let's see how many models you get. So 43 miniatures. So it's got to be less than the Dominion starter box.
No, you're talking.
Surely.
If you were to buy retail, just the dwarves alone would cost you I'm saying £70. Easy.
I don't think it'll be near the price of a Dominion. I think surely it can't be £125. Surely it can't be Dominion price point. when it's not a new edition. It's a smaller rule book, and you get smaller mass of models by the looks of
Andy,
it.
the Alapex model alone is about 25 quid. 50 quid, 75. You're talking 80 quid, probably even more, just for the Idoneth models.
What's the Alapex?
It's a giant shark.
Okay, so maybe I've missed the picture of that. I'll bump up my prediction to £100 then, because I don't think they've got a picture of that on here. So it didn't enter my mental process. So £100, I'm going to go for that.
£100, that would be amazing, because maybe you could then pick it up for £85, £90, maybe.
Kevin says £105. Yeah, I don't think it'll be as much as Dominion. That's my prediction. Bold as it may seem to you, I think it's an obvious answer. Less than Dominion.
Oh, how much was Dominion?
That was the full 125, I think.
Right. Okay. Well, how much was the ones with the Slanesh models? Do you remember? Slanesh versus Khorne, was it? There's been a few last couple of years. I wonder how much they were.
I don't remember.
Well, if it's anything like £80, I'm very, very tempted then. And you might be able to find people selling the other half of the box off. But if you bought this box, Andy, which side would you keep?
Definitely the Fyreslayers.
Right, I see.
Deepkin are a cool army, but there's a lot of cool armies. I'm more of a dwarf fanatic at heart.
Got ya.
So, next, celebrating another year of Warhammer from incredible hobby from across the community. So let's see which models they've picked out from the year to show off for their end of year painting showcase. So, we've got a vampire. I'm going to scroll past the names rather than reading them all out. So, what do we think of this paint job? This is just a showcase of random stuff from across the community, it seems. So I don't know if they're all... I assume they're not all from professional painters that were sent stuff for free. A lot of these will just have popped up on the community.
I've got that model. I haven't started painting it yet. Yeah, it's a cool model, right?
What do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's great. Like it, man.
I like the paint job. The basing, to me, it doesn't look quite finished. Base. It's just my opinion. I think it's the mud. It's just a bit too solid.
Yeah, that's just basically Stirland mud, isn't it? Put on there. I think you do need to dry brush over that just a tad. And if you look at the vampire's wrist, I would just put a little bit of a dark line separating the hand from the cuff. There, very simple but very effective.
Painting advice there from Remington.
Yeah. Face is amazing. Love the vampire's face.
So this apparently has a glow-in-the-dark element to it as well, which I assume are the crystals on the base.
Wow.
So they don't show a picture of that, though, which would have been nice. Then we've got some Space Marines. Well, what can you say about that? They're nice, clean, crisp paint jobs, and they are Space Marines. The end. We've got a Bastion here. Now, I've seen a lot of Bastions out there. I haven't seen too many of them where the eyes are actually fully painted in. Most of them have gone for the glowy-eyed effect. This one's actually got pupils, though, and they're very nicely done. Very neat. Just a very neat paint job all round, isn't it? I'm not that crazy about the colour scheme, but it's extremely well executed. A high level of technical proficiency, I would say, has gone into this.
Nice. What I'd like to see down the line with Stormcast is that Sigmar cannot reforge them anymore. That'd be one thing. And two, they can't create any more new armor. So the armor would get more and more battered and more diminished and more kind of broken. And that could create some really nice paint jobs, couldn't it? And you'd get some Stormcast that would be bare chested or just bits of armor on them because, you know what I mean? Maybe their armor becomes like the most precious thing.
Well, if they wanted to ever re-release an old unit, all they would have to do would be to say, look, Sigmar wasn't happy with the way the Liberators turned out. They've been replaced, they're obsolete, it's not making any more. And then you'd release a box of like veteran Liberators, who are the ones that are all battle hardened and got their armor all cracked up. The Sigmar just won't look at them twice anymore. That would be kind of cool. Like shunned chambers. I would find that interesting. So we've got another Space Marine, and this one is actually interesting. There's lots of interesting paint techniques going on. Looks like some non-metallic metal with the blade there. And the armour has got a lot of well-crafted shine on it as well. Beyond anything I would attempt. But what does Remington think of this Space Marine?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that's an amazing paint job, Andy. Look at the facial hair, the stubble. That has got so much character. That's brilliant.
Very spicy indeed.
I just like the paint job. It doesn't look. I like this better than the way Games Workshop paint theirs. It's not too clean looking. It looks like a painting, you know.
Yes.
It's got character to it. Love it.
Then we've got this creature, which we've seen a lot of recently. And the vampire half of it we usually praise, and we're usually not so keen on the monster half of it.
Yeah.
And I think I would continue that here.
Well,
The vampire half is definitely stealing the show.
both individual parts look fantastic, but there's no what's the word? Transformational part between the head and the body. Do you know what I mean? Maybe if we could have a pink or a purple sort of turning into the white, it would look like they belonged. But at the minute,
Yes.
just like she's just been plonked on.
It looks like it looks like you lift up that armor plate there, and you would see that the vampire has tiny legs, having a little piggyback from the monster.
So why not make it just a vampire riding a monster then?
You know what doesn't help? The fact that the belt buckle, or whatever that is, looks like a tiny monster face in the spot where the head should be. So that looks like the head.
Yeah.
Let me just show you. So if you cut it off there, that looks like a monster with a tiny head there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look. You're telling me, Andy, if you took that armor off, they would be melded together seamlessly.
Apparently.
Well, maybe they should have done a version without the armor then, and then it would look like it belonged.
It does look strange.
It is cool though. It is kind of cool, but it's just weird. Great paint job. It's not the painter's fault, of course.
It's cool, but it looks more like something. There are two really cool existing models, and someone who maybe hasn't done that much conversion work before has just chopped them in half and stuck them together.
Yeah, it's like a vampire lord and a Vargeist.
It looks like the individual elements have been crafted by artists, and then someone who's not an artist has splodged them together.
What if the armor, instead of being purple, what if the armor was that sort of white?
It needs something to tie it together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe if you had a bit of fade, so the colour of the armour was represented in the beast, and then it was fading into a white. Something like that could help.
The armor was going onto the arms of the monster as well.
Yes, anything like that would help. It cuts off perfectly at that point where we want to see what the transition is between the two pieces. So it needs to either go further, so that it covers the spot where the monsters change into different things, or we need to actually see that spot, I think. Authentic says it does look kit-bashed, yes.
Yeah. Peter said he'd love to see a Bugman's Brewery's army. How cool would that be, man? I'd love to see that too, dude.
That would be pretty damn cool.
And long overdue as well, Wayne. You know.
We've got a Karazai here, and we saw these at Warhammer World in the cabinets, and they're not as gargantuan as some people might have thought. They are big, but they don't make a Stardrake look small, definitely.
No, the guys riding on the dragons were bigger than I thought, to be honest. Yeah, really lovely models, though. Lovely.
So this is obviously a spicy paint job, and I'm probably going to be building mine in the other version. For anyone that didn't see my post, which I think was on Discord, I've actually got one of these bad boys now, so that's going to be on the chopping block after the ironclad. So excited for that.
You're going to need to run Andy, you're going to need to run like a 3,000, 5,000 point Stormcast army soon, aren't you?
That is true, because they just keep releasing cooler and cooler stuff.
And we could try one day. I mean, I've probably got enough orcs, gits, and crawl boys to make one army. Or
We'll have to wait until we've got all day sometime at Warhammer World. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Next, we've got a Stormcast Indictor. Now, this is another one that looks like a work of art for that.
Wow. Yeah, is that contrast paint, Andy, what we're seeing there?
I wouldn't say we're seeing any contrast paint there. That just looks like really impressive multi-level highlighting, shading or something. It's pretty wild what's going on here.
Now, what are these called? Are these Vindictors?
Vindictors,
No.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you got some of these?
I have, but they're not painted.
Oh.
They're not vastly better than Liberators, so I'm not that in that much of a rush to get them done.
Got you.
So very nice paint job there. A Titan in pink. So it's not actually that massive, this one. It's not as big as it would be if it was in 40k. This is just from Adeptus Titanicus, so it's still big. But very cool. Cool striking colour scheme, but it's not fantasy, so let's move swiftly on to this. What do you make of Lumineth Realm Lord? Teclis himself would be proud. Do you agree?
Let's have a look. Oh,
I think that's quite a magnificent paint job. Right down to the basing.
Well, there's almost too many colours on it, but yeah, it's really wonderfully painted. No denying.
Yeah, on the tabletop, maybe you wouldn't be able to tell what it is from a distance, which could be a criticism.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, look, that painter's got skills, no
yes.
doubt. I would have not used the green in the cloak, and possibly not used the blue on the shield, and then that would have looked a bit more cohesive then.
But a top-notch level of skill deployed there in the techniques. Very, very nice.
That must have taken such a long time.
Then we've got the mighty Slan. Lord Croak, of course. Nice base work, but obviously,
Wow,
this is the main event right here.
that's such a cool centerpiece, that, isn't it?
Ridiculously tasty model, and for someone like me who didn't really appreciate the change in the Slan to the floating Slan, I wasn't that obsessed with it, but this one is a different matter. I liked the old Slan being carried by the Temple Guard. The one that came after that, I could take it or leave it. This one, definitely spice-tacular, and this paint job, top-notch as well. There's so much going on, so that if you're a good top-level painter, this is going to look like an absolute masterpiece, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you think we'll get any more Temple Guard units? Do you think
Who knows?
Need some more skinks, some new sculpts?
It's hard to say, isn't it? Because on the one hand, some of the older races have been neglected. On the other hand, they get things like this every now and then. So, who could really predict? Next, we've got Sigwald. We looked at quite a lot of these a while ago, but I don't believe this was part of it. This is a very nice example of Sigwald.
Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it?
I assume that the shield is actually reflecting the battlefield on the other side there, and the top part would be the sky and the sun shining on it.
Wow.
That's what it looks like.
It looks, do you know what? He'd actually slip on that stone and could really hurt himself with all that armour on. You know what I mean?
I assume that Sigvald the Magnificent has some good grip on his shoes.
Well, he needs to be careful, because it'd be very difficult to get up once you fall down wearing all that armour.
Indeed. Next, got this little scene, which should speak to you definitely, because you've painted some of these, haven't you?
Oh my god.
Don't you have one of these guys?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Oh, don't you have this?
No,
these the two you don't have?
I don't have them, and the reason why is because I've got 5 witch hunters already.
Oh yeah, then well that'd do it.
Even though I love these models, unless they had a sub faction that was witch hunters, which would be amazing. Witch hunters and flagellants and some mercenaries would be an amazing free guild. Sigma force.
Are you like me
That
in that you're terrified of even going for this effect that they've done here?
No, I'm giving it a go. I'm giving it. I'm not. It's not as good as what they've done there, but it's not as hard as you think.
It's not, but if you get it wrong, then you've kind of ruined part of the model, haven't you, if you decide not to use that effect afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, as a master of dusting, this technique comes sort of second nature to me. But if you've got an experience of dusting, some like to call it dry brushing, but it's very different. Um, but yeah, this is my favourite. I think
Nice.
that's amazing.
Then we've got a bit of a 40k looking orc there, but we can appreciate the highlighting. Nice work.
Yeah, I love
Highlighting
those.
on the
I love
fur.
these ones.
Very
I love
nice.
these savage orcs that are 40k. They're sick.
Then we've got some more Space Marine type action. Of course, not that interesting. And then we've got a Yndrasta, who we've seen a million of, but this is a very interesting base, not the standard. Very good paint job to go with it as well.
Is that Remy Tremblay? I'm sure I follow him on Instagram. That's interesting, isn't it? Oh,
And
cool.
I like this colour scheme as well. The light blue. Very tasty.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's everything on there. Now, I'm going to warn people, this isn't going to be the longest show of the year. We have just done a live battle report as well. And we're saving a few topics for next week, where we've got the double guest bonanza. We've also got a bit of a rumour engine this week. So, what do you think of that?
Well, if you told me it was Age of Sigmar, then I would say this could be Slanesh. What would you say?
I would say it could well be, but it's hard to say, isn't it? Could easily be 40k, like a Dark Eldar type whip with spikes on it. Interesting. So, do we have anything else in particular to discuss this week?
No,
Other than
I mean, if you're wondering about Games Workshop shares, obviously there's a holiday season on at the minute, so but they have recovered. They have. Last I saw, they were hit £100 a share, so big recovery because it did nosedive to 88, but it's heading back towards above £100 a share, so that's quite good news, and obviously puts to rest debates that people were selling out GW stock in droves because some fans weren't happy.
would you like some more good news, actually?
Yes, give me some news, Andy.
Because, as you know, your beloved Leicester City are playing tonight.
I know I've got it on Amazon Prime at the moment. I'm saying it, and I did think that they would get absolutely annihilated, and they've saved a penalty, and it's 0-0 half time.
Yeah, I've not been watching it, but I've just been having a look here at the one of the score apps, and first thing I read was Salah has penalty saved, then hits bar from rebound, and I thought, yes, that sounds funny.
It was, but I'm quite prepared for us to get beaten 3-0 still, 4-0, because we have 10 first team players out with injury and COVID. And
Yes.
unfortunately, if your name is Arsenal, Tottenham, Man City, you get to postpone those games. But if you're Leicester City, you have to still play them. Apparently.
Well, I don't think that the real City have had enough COVID cases to warrant a game being postponed yet. So it hasn't come up yet. So we've been able to play all our games and win them all, obviously, and create a bit of a gap. So it would be nice if Leicester could hold on to that and not let Liverpool win there. Would be nice of you.
I mean, it would be amazing, but we're absolutely terrible this season. We've been hit by injuries really badly. And, last time we played Liverpool, they changed the rules. Apparently, you're allowed to elbow players in the face and go up the pitch and score, and it's quite okay. So that's what Liverpool did to us last game. So, but there you go. There's the rule. It's sort of like me playing Andy at Age of Sigmar, kind of like There's,
Yes.
it doesn't matter. You can say it's not fair, but it's just the way it is. So
Yes, that's the
I'm
way it is.
thinking,
Rem's just allowed to bring 120 more points.
and still get annihilated. Anyway, I haven't done a spoiler there, but yeah, watch the battle report because you will enjoy it. Andy took a particular harsh-looking flash on his camera that didn't do justice to my beautifully painted models, which might have been the only sort of only positive I could take away from that.
Well, I'll try it without the flash on the camera next time, and we'll see how they look under the natural Warhammer World dim lighting.
We'll see, but I'm hoping that I will do better next time and remember some crucial rules. Obviously, that would help.
Yes, we've got a game lined up tomorrow. In fact, should I build a list right now, live on the show? Well, we've got a little bit of time left at the end.
But I do want to go and see my dog before he leaves because he has been waiting downstairs for me for 2 hours.
Outrageous. So, before you go, I will just load up this very quickly and have a look at some of the units I can take on this app right here. So, which of these units would you like to face? Would you like to face a Stardrake? Because that wasn't used in the last game.
Well, the thing is, it's not just a monster. It's a monster that delivers firing attacks at range. Does stomps, has some kind of ward saves, has multiple wounds. It's not just with things with Stormcast. It's not just a Stormcast. It's like they've got all these extra bonus things going on. So, I mean, can you take an army of Aetherwings? That would be
Well, I've
fun.
only got 3 of them. So no.
And Liberators, then I think it would be a fair fight.
I could take 10 Liberators. I've got loads of heroes that are now totally useless. Like the Knight of Zeros, the Knight Heraldor, the Knight Venator are all terrible now.
Are they really? Yeah, take stuff you ain't used. I mean, I do have a Celestant Prime that I was going to give to you. Maybe the winner of the game gets the Celestant Prime. What do you think?
That sounds like a good idea.
Or shall I sell it on eBay?
I've also got the useless Lord Veritant, who's not very good at the moment either. The Lord Relictor is actually really good right now. I haven't used him recently, so he could come in. I've got Lord Celestant on Dracoth, obviously. He wasn't used in the game. He's quite spicy. Yndrasta wasn't used in this game last week. I've got Judicators. I've got Long Strike crossbows. I've got 3 ballistas, not 4. That would be crazy. Got 3 ballistas in the Lord Ordinator. Nice combo with them. I've got the regular Annihilators with the shields. They weren't used in that game last week either. I've got Praetors, who don't seem to be particularly useful. I've got Prosecutors. Maybe they'll come in. They're an interesting choice now. Let's see, what else have I got as I scroll down here? I think that's about everything. I think I've mentioned all of it. I used all the other units last week, so if I tried to take an entirely different army, that would certainly be interesting. I could definitely do it. I've got enough points. It might have to include a Stardrake, though.
Yeah, it would be interesting bringing a monster. Yeah, bring it. I mean, you kind of know what I've got, so it's not like I can surprise you with anything.
You want to shoot your Beast Skewer Killbow at a Stardrake, don't you? That's the thing.
I would just love to be able to do what my army's meant to do without, getting annihilated second turn.
Yes, and you'll remember all your army's rules next time as well, since it'll be the second time you read them.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't think any of those rules would have changed the outcome. Do you?
You never know.
Oh, come on. All right.
It all adds up. So, about time to wrap this one up. A bit of a shortened show since we did the battle report right before this. So if you haven't seen that yet, you can go and watch that from last week's game. Very exciting game it was. And that video is available now. Here's the thumbnail with the Flame Keeper right there. Ready for the new Fury of the Deep box for Age of Sigmar, which I predict is going to come in at about £100. After Remington correctly informed me that there's a big shark in it, which bumped up my original prediction.
Yeah.
And he thinks that maybe it'll be even more than that, even more costly. So we'll see who's right on that front, because it's only a couple of weeks away, maybe. Only a few weeks until it's being released.
If it is £80, and you're right, then it is a good bargain, I think.
I think it'll be more than that now that you pointed out there's a shark in it.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think until next week when we have the New Year double guest bonanza with Annie of Bad Squiddo and Joey of Joey Berry fame on at the same time. Can the internet handle it? Can Remington handle double guest bonanza? Find out next week.
They're both not going to tell me off for something.
Well, they probably will do. I can tell you that right now. So, all that remains to be said, Mr. Remington, would you like to wish anyone festive New Year's greetings? This is the last show before New Year.
Have a happy New Year, guys. It's been a really strange one, hasn't it? But, we're still here after all these years.
It has been a strange year indeed.
Still making the magic.
It's a year that we thought maybe would things get back to normal over the course of this year. And they kind of have for some people, less so for others. We're still very much in a different world currently. And if you want to allow us to continue to guide you through this strange and unfamiliar world, then feel free, of course, to become patrons of this channel via the link in the description. And you too support our quest to act as a beacon of light to guide all these hobbyists and wargamers through these dark and turbulent times, through that mist towards hobby fulfillment. And you could become one of the following people that gets personally thanked at the end of each video. So I'm going to personally thank right now Raccoon, Kevin, David, Cedar, Tim, John, Simon, Roshi, Nippleless, Brad, and Guy. All of you, extra spicy. Why not put yourself on that list, folks? Why not become a legend of the community and give me all your money? You know you want to. It's Christmas after all. And all that remains to be said is, Happy New Year out there. Whatever you are.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about